My name is Courtney Colson, a female to male to female detransitioner, and on this channel we try to figure out what the hell is wrong with me. On this episode, I'll be reacting to my Channel 7 Spotlight appearance. I think that was a couple of weeks ago now, and long story short, they kind of do a better job. We'll see. There's a few things here and there, much better than the ABC. So I've been on two of the, 4 or 5 channels Australia has. I'll get around. I'll get to all of them. So I'll get right into it.
Tonight on Spotlight.
You were 15 when you had the operation.
Yes.
Chloe Cole is everywhere. Does she have an agent? I want to know. How do I do this? Because I am trying to get on more television appearances and what have you, and do more advocacy in Australia, but I haven't really made much progress thus far. I've made connections.
Children are being told they should change from boy to girl or girl to boy from as young as 12 years old.
So they include a lot of photos and videos here, and this was the main controversy. This is the thing that the trans community was fixated on. There was really nothing wrong with this documentary. It's pretty factual. They just fixated on, well, they used photos without their consent, and some of those people aren't detransitioners. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's pretty shitty. But I don't think that dismisses the entire documentary. And that's the interesting thing. Very few reviews or criticisms were aimed at me or any of the other detransitioners. It was finding really small nitpicks of, oh, well, that photo didn't belong to a detransitioner and whatever. Okay. And what about the rest of it? Did you take anything from the bigger message? No, the photo was without consent. That's all you can really argue against? Well, they must be doing something right.
You go ahead, take that testosterone, it'll fix everything. I'm a female to male to female detransitioner.
Is a generation being brainwashed?
Oh yeah, they told me to record that slower, because apparently I say it too fast. I don't think I do. It's a lot of information to come at you at once.
I was just looking for a sense of belonging.
I didn't realize we were supposed to cry. I didn't get that memo. Everyone else was crying, but no, I just showed up my usual black comedy, dark humor kind of stuff. Gallows humor, if you will.
The desperate warning every parent needs to hear.
The mother, and as a child psychiatrist, I could not hold my head up if I didn't speak about this.
We are in the midst of a medical scandal.
I said, no, this is my daughter in here. No, it's your son.
Children as young as 5 to 10 years of age declaring this is who I am and this is who I want to be for the rest of my life.
Oh yeah, they filmed me shaving my face, which I thought was so tacky and cliche, but see, I will say yes to most things, because I think that's a demonstration of, I don't think it's embarrassing for me, I think it's embarrassing for them, and I think it's embarrassing in terms of what they expect and the image they want to portray. So yeah, I'm willing to yes and improv, just roll with it, throw whatever you want at me, because I think it's actually a very fascinating and useful way to see how they want to market me, how they want to depict my story, my image. So ABC was fairly neutral. They weren't trying to... They showed me for about 30 seconds. So they just put in a clip of me dressed as I chose to dress, and that's it. They didn't really take anything out of context. They didn't add any additional dubbing to suggest anything else other than she just decided transitioning wasn't for her. I mean, yeah, it's like saying, oh, the Titanic had a bit of an accident on the way to its destination. Yeah, I mean, it did. It's not wrong. So, yeah, they film me at work. I'm a furniture upholsterer, best job in the world. And they filmed me sewing a little bit, and then they wanted me to bring a razor to show me shaving my face. I'm going, well, I've had laser hair removal. I pluck a few hairs here, and I don't really need to shave anymore. But they wanted to show that because I think they want to... Oh, it's this shocking image of a woman shaving. I mean, women do have facial hair naturally. So sometimes, not always. But yeah, I didn't actually. I had a little bit of a mustache before I transitioned. Now, I barely. It's barely visible compared to very dark but spotty patches of hair on my chin.
You're happy to see a 15-year-old girl go and have a double mastectomy, eh?
I was totally lied to.
Oh yeah, so they made me put on makeup over and over. They hired out this room. It's actually the ballroom in a hotel near here. I think it was the Hilton. And they filmed the interview, but then afterwards they took me to this other room, and then they just filmed me putting makeup on over and over again. I was getting ready in the morning. So I was putting on this sort of Elizabeth Taylor outfit because the producer, she kept referring to me as, "Oh, you look very Elizabeth Taylor. I really love that look." Okay, so I'll give the people what they want. I don't generally dress like that. In my videos on my channel, I like to get dressed up, although not as much as I used to. In my earliest videos, I was trying so hard to push myself into femininity because I think a lot of trans people, when they detransition, they still have this very rigid, binary, stereotypical idea of what a man and a woman is. So you'll notice in my early videos, and I also had the false pregnancy and all the hormones going. So I had big titties, so I had to wear a bra. I'm not wearing a bra. I don't wear a bra at all, ever. Even with a white shirt, I don't give a shit. You can see my nipples, whatever. I really don't care. Cut my hair into a mullet. I'm figuring myself out. I like something a bit more androgynous. Soft butch, semi-butch. But I'm getting ready in the morning, putting on this Elizabeth Taylor outfit with the whole going the whole nine, full face of makeup, and not full. I don't wear foundation. I never needed to wear foundation, but yes, I'm getting ready, and she calls me, the producer, saying, "We want to just film a few scenes of you putting on makeup. Is that okay?" "Oh, yeah, whatever." Bring a whole suitcase. Bring all your stuff. A whole suitcase. I've got a handful of stuff. I've got lipstick, blush, mascara, eyeshadow. "Oh, really?" "Yeah, that's all I need. What else is there?" I do watch that Murder, Mystery, and Makeup, Bailey Sarian. My mother's a piece of shit, but she did introduce me to Bailey, so that's one good thing. But yeah, I watch channels like that, and see, they put all these layers and all these... I don't even know what half that shit is, and I don't think you need any of it anyway. But anyway, I let them film me putting on makeup over and over. I just put that lipstick on over and over and over again. And that's what they wanted to show, I guess. That we'll see throughout this documentary. I think they really want to push the trad wife, traditional feminine June Cleaver friggin' feminine stereotype. Put the women back in the kitchen. Oh, she went off for a while and she had a mental breakdown and she pretended to be a boy, but now she's full woman, very woman. We'll get to it. But I do like that the gender agenda on the title card. I put my photos there, so that's one thing. Interesting, though, that they actually use the more attractive photos of Connor, because and you see this on my Instagram stories on the ones at the top there. I shared also. I was, according to the BMI, I was obese for a while. I was huge. I was bloated. The hormones were just doing all sorts of shit to my skin, to everything. I looked sick. And I was... What am I, about 64, 65? I'm about 64, 65 kilos now. And I think at my heaviest I was 75, 77. There was a lot of bloating, fluid retention. So I looked huge. Here's another photo if you haven't seen it. Yeah, and I've noticed that both the ABC and 7, and they have opposite agendas here. They use more attractive photos. They don't show, look how terrible it gets. So I'm surprised about that. And also, neither of them discussed false pregnancies, and I wonder, is that too much of a deviation from the topic? Is it too complicated to explain? We'll get into it.
Happy Pride Month. Here are the top 5 reasons to be trans. Number 5, the goddess of transformation will whisper to you all of her secrets. Number 4, happiness. Kind of boring, but it's true.
In Perth, I'm on my way to meet Courtney. She's an upholsterer.
That is a twin stitch machine. I quite like using that one. So when in furniture upholstery, if you're curious, when you're top stitching the seams instead of having to do it individually, it does it all at once. It's quite fun.
Whose life journey reads like a cautionary tale.
Yeah, I am a cautionary tale. I think this whole channel is just a cautionary tale. Whatever I'm doing, don't do that. But do buy a sub. If you're gonna follow any choices I make in life, buy a sub, get a mullet. Yeah, I think there's two. That's my two. Oh, and eat meat. Eat meat, buy a sub, cut your hair into a mullet. That's the Courtney Colson way. Otherwise, yeah, everything else is a cautionary tale. Don't do the rest of it. But yeah, looking at my, I don't know, not to talk about my hair so much, but looking at my hair back then, it's too much. It was too in my face. It's very thick and full. But my hair is so thick and curly since detransitioning. I'm really lucky. I mean, there's a little bit, the hairline there is sitting a little higher, I don't know if you can actually see, than it would have before I transitioned, but hardly noticeable. But yeah, it's a lot thicker, it's a lot fuller, it's a lot curlier. So honestly, okay, one benefit of transitioning, the testosterone did one benefit, I'd say one of 3. Deeper voice, bigger muscles, better hair.
Right now, she's detransitioning. That is, returning to the sex she was born as.
Am I detransitioning or have I detransitioned? Because I don't think there's anything more that I can do. I've done it, right?
Courtney wants to undo the decision she made in her teens to become a man.
Wants to, has. I've done it. It's done. I detransitioned nearly 3 years ago now. And no, it wasn't my teens, and I told them that, and I gave them all the information written down. I began to transition when I was 21. So I didn't even know what a transsexual was until I was about 19 years old. And a drag queen explained it to me, actually. Interesting the photos they chose. So they chose a photo of Connor in a toile, in a prototype of my Connor Detroit Become Human cosplay. Why wouldn't you use the nice finished photos of the cosplay? It's me with, some calico. Alright.
For 5 years, thanks to testosterone and a range of other drugs.
A range of other drugs? Where are they getting this information? That's the thing that I will say against this production of Channel 7. Fact-checking. Just making sure, they did email me back and forth and asked to fact-check a few things, and I corrected them. Well, I said I was 21 when I transitioned. I said I took Androfort, Testagel, and the birth control there was Implanon, and then later it was Primo Slut, as I used to call it. And it's shocking to me now that I was just taking this shit and I didn't even research the effects. I just trusted doctors. But getting back on track, a range of other drugs. It's birth control and testosterone. So it makes it seem that in order to transition, you have to do all this other stuff, it's kind of misleading. Not a huge problem, but it is a bit misleading.
Courtney identified as Connor.
Do you understand how you got into the headspace where you thought, I would rather be a man instead?
Yeah, so back then I was getting a lot of male attention, and I didn't like that, and I thought, well, if I was a man, life would be so much easier.
So that was as you were hitting puberty, and then all that became very confusing.
And it was very confusing because my mother was forcing me to be ultra feminine, and there was no praise or emphasis on physical strength anymore. It was all about just being pretty.
Okay, so from a tomboy, you wanted to then almost be a boy.
Yeah, well, I've got two younger brothers, and I was always envious of them and the way my mother let them do whatever they wanted. So that just got in my head that, this is a thing you can do. It's really easy. You can just change gender. It's no worries. I was totally lied to, even by doctors. I was sold this thing that isn't possible.
You used a lot of online stuff, right? YouTube and all sorts of things.
Interesting that they cut to a clip from 1994. So my middle brother was just born. No. So mum would have been a second trimester. Yeah. So I was an only child in that footage. Not that that's an issue of accuracy or truth in this document. It doesn't really matter. It's just a little aside there, interesting. But it does, getting yourself involved in the media and like this, it's amazing how even editing can subconsciously change the way you're perceiving information. So I obviously know all the truth. So when I look at that, I go, well, it's 1994 and only January, so it would only just be my birthday. My brother's birthday's in July, so he's not born yet for, 5 months? But someone else watching this, they'd go, I guess one of these other children must be her sibling. And, okay, she's very little, and that boy there looks bigger, so, she must have older sibling. Subconsciously, your brain is going to start making those connections if you're paying attention. So just, I'm pointing these things out because the way information is presented absolutely determines how you interpret it.
How much of an influence do you think, though, online material, the online community is for kids who may be suffering gender dysphoria?
Oh, absolutely. I think social media is the ideal modern day PsyOps platform more than anything. I mean, if you want to push any agenda, that's the way to do it.
Well, they cut out a lot of what I talked about, and this is one thing that I keep going back to that people don't seem to be interested in listening to, but metabolism. Metabolism is the center point of basically every mental and physical illness, and I'll make a whole video on that at one point. But I was saying, look at hunter-gatherers, look at people who are living more traditional lives. You don't see them having all this gender dysphoria, these mental illnesses, these physical illnesses that we have in the modern world. But this Liam guy said, it's all well and good until you get killed by woolly mammoth. After I was talking about the Hadza tribe in Africa who are alive now. So obviously they're going to include that clip because after he said, woolly mammoth, I just sort of looked at him like, fucking moron.
So you don't like the idea of puberty blockers at all?
No. I mean, Sweden, I think, has outlawed them. It absolutely permanently destroys people. The bones, their sex drive. You can't just play with nature in that way. Puberty is a human right, and no one has the right to intervene with that, even if the patient wants it.
Glad they kept that quoted.
We're also deeply concerned about the health and also irreversible masculizing side effects.
Think your voice will get lighter?
I mean, I could pitch it higher if I wanted to. Hang on, I'm going to try and... it gets into the Barbie voice. It gets really high up in there. Yeah, I got to practice that. But it's a little higher than it was when I was on testosterone.
They edited it around... I can see where all the cuts are, but they edited around what I said. And I did say, I can pitch my voice up higher, but I don't want to. I don't like having a higher voice. This is the voice I wanted. I've got the exact voice that I asked for. This is great. This is perfect. Right now, I'm speaking deeper into the diaphragm. I'm not pushing it all the way down into my solid snake voice. But and I can do that now, actually. It's... I choose to speak down in the diaphragm and use the vocal range I have now. When I'm being funny and goofing around, yes, I'll pitch it up high. I'm like, welcome to the Krusty Burger. Can I take your order? So I've got a lot of range in that sense. But yeah, no, I in the interview I did clearly say I like my voice, but of course they won't include that. I won't focus too much on the professionals, the politicians and doctors and what have you. Most of them are just saying shit's fucked. We shouldn't be doing this. So most of that's going to be more relevant to Australia specifically in our current medical and political system. So yeah, we'll skip through that. Oh yeah, they talked to some parents, and I think their daughter was hospitalized, maybe a suicide attempt, I can't remember. But she had decided she was transgender, so they were all calling her by her true name and her giving her male pronouns and not allowing her family to even see her. And so, yeah, those are pretty awful. I can't believe that's actually happening in Australia as well. I hear it in America all the time, but I didn't think that was happening here. I mean, it is disgusting that children who are really being abused fly under the radar. I hear stories all the time of children being neglected and abused and no one intervenes. The moment you include this trans issue, they all swoop in, the authorities swoop in, and they'll take your child away and they'll give him or her the name they choose and the pronouns they choose and all. What the fuck?
She believed becoming a man would heal her. But it didn't.
I'm never gonna be over it. It's not even like... They're wounds, they're not even scars, so it's like I'm still bleeding. I'm still, like, processing it and grieving. Like, I've literally, like, been violated by the medical industry.
Are you with me? Are you with me?
Mel's an interesting one. I don't know her personally, and she's not active online or anything, but she's in a very different place, mentally and physically, to Chloe and myself. I think Chloe and I, we've bounced back pretty well, and we're physically quite healthy. Mel, you can see with her weight, her skin, her hair, huge metabolic upset, and she's also the one who is, the most emotionally distressed. Again, that's metabolism, that's affecting emotion, and all of that. Again, I can't wait to make a whole video on metabolism and how it affects everything. But yeah, obviously, she's not doing so good. She's not well, and I'm glad that they're showing this side of it. And I don't think it's exploitative. I had a trans woman friend say to me, what is the difference between this and... I can't remember what other example she used. And I went, well, that's not exploitative because she did choose to take her shirt off. She's an adult woman. She made that choice to show, I've had the double mastectomy. I've had everything removed. What I didn't realize with the double mastectomy, if you are obese, the fat around there still accumulates, but there's no... Well, on a man, that'd be man boobs. So she's had the mastectomy, she's removed the breast tissue, but she's not actually getting the man boobs. So if a man was obese, fat collects there, but with a double mastectomy, interestingly, no. But no, good on her for revealing what was done to her, because it is fucked. We shouldn't keep this secret.
Courtney Colson was 28 and identifying as Connor when she too was scheduled to have her breasts surgically removed. But the pandemic saw the operation put on hold.
They're using more clips of me putting lipstick on.
So COVID saved you?
COVID saved me in a weird way, yeah.
Nonetheless, for 5 years, Courtney lived as a man. Regular injections of testosterone.
Didn't take the injections. I said I was doing the testo gel. I was rubbing gel on.
Lowered her voice and changed the structure of her jaw.
No, it didn't change the structure of my face at all. My bones had fully set in because I was an adult when I transitioned. But what I did, and I didn't know what it was called at the time, but I was mewing. I've talked about mewing in my ancestral living video. but it's just doing correct tongue posture. So my natural, I've got my face naturally, bad tongue posture, so it doesn't sit on the roof of the mouth. My tongue would naturally just sit on the bottom. And I've got a pretty pronounced overbite. And I remember even as a kid saying to dentists, is this right? It's fine. No, so your teeth, it's supposed to be like that. Mine is... So when I transitioned, just to masculinize my face, I brought my teeth together every time I took a photo. And then I learned just last year about mewing. So now I'm naturally putting the tongue up where it should be, the teeth where they should be. Just slowly, they say it can take about 2 years that you can realign everything and fix all of those issues. So yeah, no, I haven't actually changed anything. It's all the power of illusion and modelling.
Other medications suppressed her periods. But ultimately, none of these interventions gave her what she was looking for. And in October 2020...
That is accurate, at least. I got that date bang on.
Connor became Courtney again.
Interesting that they showed this photo of me flexing and my armpit hair is visible. Because mostly they were focusing on making me girly. But no, okay, no, here's me flexing. Yeah, I found this, I think it's a Portman's dress that kind of looks like a double-breasted blazer with the sleeve cut off. I got some WWE vibes from it, so I'll put the necktie on. Oh yeah! And I don't know why whenever we talk about wrestling, you want to do the, oh yeah, brother, yeah. It's just, look, I grew up in a certain era, the 80s to the early 2000s. The only wrestling I know, anything after that, I don't know. What's a John Cena? I don't know.
5 years later, you
Hulk Hogan forever.
just said one day...
Hulkamania forever.
5 years later, you just said one day, literally, that's it.
It was killing me. I was so incredibly ill.
It was killing me. It made me incredibly ill. And I did go into false pregnancies, autoimmune issues. I can only eat animal products. I have horrendous fucking periods. I had a mental breakdown. I thought I was a robot. I went through this. I went over and over and over again through all the symptoms. And they didn't talk about it at all. And everyone who's watched this, my co-workers have watched this actually. It was weird going into work the next day. Oh, hey, saw you on TV. Wowee. And they all enjoyed it. A few people said to me, why didn't they go into what the side effects were? Why was it killing you? Exactly! If Channel 7 is trying to push this idea that testosterone, transitioning is bad, it's all bad, I just gave you what you wanted. I gave you everything right there on a platter. Well, at least now I can say, well, yeah, this is all the shit I went through, and this is the shit I wanted to get on air. Because that's the problem. Before I transitioned, I didn't know. My doctors didn't even know all the things that could happen to me taking these hormones. So I think it's really important. That's why I have my YouTube channel. That's why they should have talked about this. These are the things that can go wrong. And these even aren't all the things that can go wrong. I didn't get all the symptoms.
And I realized, oh, maybe it is the testosterone. And constant priapism. Right. An erection of the female tissue constantly.
They did include the priapism, at least there's that.
I just, okay, this is bad. This is really bad. I gotta stop.
Was any of that decision tied up with you somewhere in the back of your brain thinking, I want to be a woman again?
No, I just realized, I live in the real world and I cannot be the man I want to be. So, suck it up.
Yes, what I was looking for was this. I cannot be this, sadly. Okay, so they did include that, or they cut real sharp after I said no. Was there a desire in there to be a woman again? Or, nah. It was just admitting defeat and realizing, no, I cannot become a man. I still want to be a man. It's still something I deal with. They don't want to show that. That's too complicated. But to show that, okay, for some people, transitioning, they want it to be the opposite sex, and they still want to be the opposite sex. The problem is, you can't be the opposite sex. And we're lying to patients right now that that's even possible. And then for me to say, well, actually, there's about 3 things I'm very happy that I have gotten out of transitioning. There are physical changes that I enjoy. They don't want to show that. It's too complicated. They're showing... And this is what I'm learning with the media is, well, you either want to show one side of the story or the other. You don't want to show the shades of grey and the nuance. It's too complicated. Also, I had to screen record this directly from the website. So I contacted the producer and said, could I have a copy of the documentary? And already said I'd watched it on the website. Yep, no worries, I'll give you a link. Then a few minutes later, she sends me an email, and it's a link just to Channel 7's website where it's streaming. I need an actual copy, the digital, file, so I can do things with it. So I've screen recorded this, and it looks like it was streaming just fine until it gets to some of my clips, and then it starts lagging, so I'm going to have to edit around that. And so if it looks a little choppy, Channel 7 didn't do that. That's me having to get around third-party software and bad internet.
Should we shut these gender clinics down, do you think, before they do any more damage to our children?
Absolutely not. In my view, most of the serious gender clinics in Australia do a great job and deliver obviously considerable mental health and physical health benefits.
All right, then this Professor Ian Hickey, University of Sydney, what a knob jockey, what an absolute tosspot, just wanker. How many other Australian slurs can I use? It's all them ones. Just, wow. Let us watch, shall we?
So you agree with their affirmation model, do you, where essentially the child gets to dictate the terms?
The child doesn't dictate the terms. The child isn't driving the car here.
He's already hostile. He basically said one thing, and then Liam asked a question, and already he's tense. No, the child isn't driving the car here. Now, yes, these can be edited out of context, and maybe Liam was pushing and pushing and pushing. I don't think the way this guy, Hickey, reacts, I don't think there's any justification for that. If I have absolutely no reason to get worked up, because I know that I'm only speaking the truth. When you are only speaking the truth, you don't need to get angry. You don't need to get worked up. You can take whatever sort of criticism lobbied at you because you know you're right.
And I think the position you're presenting is not representative of the genuine situation. Parents who've had kids...
Hang on, when you say the genuine situation...
The great majority...
Are you saying the people who are speaking out, those people who have been affected, the casualties in this, are not genuine?
What I'm saying is the great majority of people who come forward for care, kids who behaved in a certain way since a very early age, who come forward at puberty, and the youth who come forward in adolescence, genuinely come forward seeking to understand the situation in which they find themselves. So what really needs to be represented are many of the positive stories. How many lives have been saved?
So the kids whose lives have been wrecked, where do you put them?
In the whole of medicine, we are dealing with situations all the time. If you have a surgical procedure, if you have a medical procedure, you take any medicine, you seek care for any reason.
Yes.
There is a chance,
but
there are chances.
That's after comprehensive medical analysis.
Yeah, he will not acknowledge the questions. He will not acknowledge detransitioners. He will not acknowledge there's a lot of people who do not need these treatments. And he said, oh, well, with any procedure, with any treatment, there's always a risk. Yeah, because the alternative is that they will die. Before you apply chemotherapy to a patient, you best fucking know there's cancer there. You test and observe and you make sure 100%, yeah, this is definitely cancer. But now they're giving, basically what they're giving to these kids who are transitioning, like Lupron, it's a cancer drug. They're giving these kids cancer drugs and they don't have cancer. And to save their lives because the alternative is that they kill themselves. If someone is so fucking mentally unstable that they're a suicide risk, maybe investigate that and monitor them and don't encourage suicide. Don't put the idea of suicide in their head, because that's what they kind of do. Is when a kid says, "Oh, I want to be a boy or I want to be a girl," well, I guess we got to cut your genitals off, otherwise you're going to kill yourself. Kill myself? I wasn't thinking about killing myself, but now I am. Jesus Christ. This is the fucked situation where we are equating psychological discomfort to a life-threatening illness. That's... How did we fucking get here, eh? Because, you know, being gay, for example, which is a thing that you have to live with, you can't change. You're born that way. You don't transition. So the pharmaceutical industry, doesn't really have any interest in the gays, except maybe in vitro fertilization and all that, and they like to get involved there. But when you're gay, you will be rejected by your family, you will be bullied, and you and your partner may possibly be violently assaulted or murdered. So there's a suicide risk there. What do we do about that? You just live with it. You just learn to live as a gay person in society. You don't have to take drugs or something. But there's this whole notion that trans people, if you don't transition, they're going to kill themselves, or they won't fit into society as the opposite sex and they're going to be mistreated. I've been watching Exa Lanzic's review of I Am Jazz, and that's just horrendous. But yeah, over and over again, Jeanette Jennings goes on about, oh, poor Jazz, in this world you're going to be bullied and people are going to hate you and people are going to bash you up, and that no one's coming after them. The risk of suicide and violence against trans people, very small. It's incredibly exaggerated. It's inflated. I will make a video about the Transgender Day of Remembrance. That is November 20th. So I'll go into that. But yeah, the statistics about all the violence against trans people is not true. It is absolutely not true. They're probably the most protected, most special group in the entire fucking world. I'll tell you that much.
Not an affirmation model, where a child goes in and has, after one consultation, puberty blockers prescribed.
No,
now,
I don't accept...
How do you explain that?
I don't accept that is what happens in the great majority of situations in Australia. What you're doing is picking out and actually attempting to actually dramatise and sensationalise a particular side, which is really sad, I think. So really sad.
Let me just go back to that other question again.
It's really sad, I think. He's a little weenie. He's going for like an ad hominem. I think, ad hominem attack. Oh, wow, you're going straight to that. I don't know how long this interview had gone for, that he's that agitated. They could have been talking for an hour. You have no idea. They talked for me for about an hour. But the fact that he's going for an ad hominem and he has no real defense for his side of the story.
When you come back later in life and people may change their minds, that's entirely possible. But to say somebody did the wrong thing at the time is also not true.
Professor, answer me this. You're happy, but I want you to address the real issue.
I want you to address the issue of the mental health harms of no action, of the systematic data about reductions in suicidality, of the potentials of mental health harm.
You'd rather take action of...
Okay, so yeah, he's now throwing out some of the studies or the mental health improvements from transitioning, and yeah.
Does the influence of social media have anything to do with it, in your opinion?
Increased awareness, you bet.
And you think that's healthy, do you?
Yes.
So when doctors come to us and say this system is wrong,
one,
it's a medical scandal.
One doctor.
And when child psychologists
one doctor
come to us. So here you are on numbers again. So how many do you want us to find? Do you want?
So it goes on and on and on for a while. It's quite long.
A lot of these children are promised something that cannot be achieved. It is not possible to be the opposite sex. It's just a fact. Queensland is currently trying to expand the number of people available to prescribe puberty blockers across the state. At the same time that the NHS in England has announced that puberty blockers will only be administered within a research trial or in extremely exceptional circumstances across the entire country. It makes no sense as to why we're going in opposite directions.
A Mel has a Half-Life tattoo. I'm more of a Team Fortress girl myself, but, you know, Valve.
At 19, Chloe hopes one day to get married. She'll never be able to breastfeed, but she does hope she'll be able to give birth to a child of her own.
I'm a problem, I'm the killer, I'm the cure, I guess.
Mel is still working out what her future looks like. She's not sure about motherhood, but would like to meet someone to share her life with. For now, she is focusing on her health.
For you now, are you comfortable being a woman again?
Yeah, well, I'm female. I'm like, it's not just that I'm a woman, it's like my sex is intrinsic to my experiences. Being female is intrinsic to who I am.
There's me doing Krav Maga with my mate Gary. Not to go on too much of a tangent, but I will. Just quickly here, I'll say Krav Maga saved my life. After my accident, I was so unwell. I had PTSD, depression. I was alone, and as soon as I was well enough, and had my driver's license, I signed up for Krav Maga. This is the first place I went to. I thought I'd have to probably shop around, go to different gyms, studios, whatever you call them, and see what works. This place is great. I have so many friends there. It's so much fun, and also everyone there also has PTSD, so it's great. We all fit in. And yeah, Gary was a trooper, and on a Sunday, we went there. He opened the place up just so that we could film me fighting. Sadly, they cut most of it out. That's the only clip they included. We put on a show, man. I was freaking worn out because I'd already done Krav Maga the previous day. And it's full on. It's very intense. Especially when it was one-on-one. I've never done a one-on-one class. And yeah, man, I want that footage. Quite proud of what we did. And also I got to wear my Big Boss t-shirt because I was trying so hard to get some sort of Metal Gear reference. Just sneak it in there. So the Big Boss t-shirt and the bandana. And then my work uniform is based on the Peace Walker uniform. So yes, there's Metal Gear references everywhere if you look closely enough.
Courtney is happy where she's at. She's not sure if she wants to date men or women.
I'm a lesbian. Liam, I'm a fucking lesbian.
But definitely wants to be a mum one day.
I definitely don't want to be a mother. They asked me what I want to do in the future. I said I want to be infantry in the Australian Defence Force. I don't know where they got mummy out of that.
But as for how the medical profession's doing this, I think a lot of them, they seem to have the best intentions. They really honestly believe they're doing the right thing. Otherwise, people are literally killing themselves. It's literal violence. No, it's not. It's just, it's a lot of white suburban kids who feel this, they feel disconnected from reality, they feel depressed, they feel inadequate. Oh, but if I transition, I'll be special.
I actually contacted the producer after. She called me after this episode aired, and she asked me what I thought about it. You know, it's really good. It's pretty balanced. It's much better than the ABC did. But just one little question there. Why did you say that I definitely wanted to be a mother when I said I definitely don't want kids anymore? I have medical trauma. I definitely want to be an auntie. Maybe that's what I said. She went, oh, yeah, I don't know. I had it in my notes that you said, There are currently more than 1,000 adolescents on waiting lists at state-run gender clinics across Australia. And I don't even know, how did this happen? How did we get here as a people? Australia, we follow everything America does. We're sort of your little brother. Oh, we're going to war. Oh, we're mutilating children. Oh, yes, please, let's do that. Yeah, so in conclusion, my review of that episode, pretty good. I think it's important to show, especially the Australian transgender situation. There were things in there that I didn't know about in terms of just the politics and the logistics and all that. And it's good to see that people are speaking out. In terms of how they depicted the detransitioners, I think it was fairly good and balanced with me, and maybe the other two, I can't speak for them, pushing that idea of being a woman, being feminine, being a mother, breastfeeding, making babies, wanting to date men. Where is that coming from? So that's my one criticism, is pushing this conservative trad wife ideal. So what they think, well, I lived as a man and I'm just going to flip and do a total 180 and be a woman. And the most traditional cliche woman at that. No, I mean, I don't dress like that normally. This is probably closer to how I dress. They showed me in my Krav Maga up. She wanted, but the producer, she was going, so are you going to wear makeup to Krav Maga? No makeup, no jewelry. You can't do this for safety. Oh, okay. And she wanted, do you have to wear a helmet? Because we wanted to get your face. No, there's no helmets or anything. So the Krav Maga video was probably seen was closer to how I normally look or how I look at work. They didn't show much of that, but yeah, that's probably closer to how I really appear, not the Elizabeth Taylor thing that they wanted. And then just showing me do the makeup and all that. I'm sure they asked Chloe and Mel to do that. I think the producer said, I offered Mel some makeup, and Mel turned that down and said, no, I want to show what this really looks like, what's being done to me. So, yeah, interesting. They were really trying to push this very cliche feminine archetype on all of us. And maybe I was the only one who went for it, because I just went, yeah, okay. Let me see how you want to show me. Let's see where this goes. I'm curious. But, okay, comparing this to the ABC one. Well, okay. The ABC in Australia is a government-funded network, channel. And our government right now is right-wing. It's called the Liberal government, but it is right-wing. It's confusing. So, the right-wing is pro-trans. The true right-wing, I suppose you could say. It's all about profit. It's about Big Pharma. So, yeah, I don't think ABC is left-wing anymore. I think it is right-wing. And it is profit-driven. And it wants to promote things that are also profit-driven. For example, mutilating children. And that's why they made this it's propaganda. This propaganda documentary showing how important it is to mutilate children. And I'm amazed they even showed me in it. I was quite surprised that they approached me, and, I went for it. I don't care how you depict me, because that says more about you than it does about me. Because I'm on YouTube. I've got a platform, I've got an audience, I've got a voice, and people can, if they want the truth, it's here, right here. You can see me telling you the truth. So my only criticism with the Channel 7 appearance is that they were pushing this conservative idea of she was a man, but now she's cured, and now she's a trad wife in the making. And also that they really didn't go into detail about how bad transitioning is and what the side effects of the hormones are. Which, that's the part that confuses me the most. If you're trying to show that transitioning is bad and dangerous, harmful, hormones will ruin you for life, then why would you cut out the clips of me explaining that? So those are the only two things that I'd have an issue. I think this is a lot better. This is an improvement. I felt that we, the detransitioners, were being heard. And it's good that we have some kind of platform. So, on to the next thing. Channel 9, Channel 10. You want me? You can have me. SBS. Yeah, don't know if they would get involved. Alright. That about covers it. Until next time, see you, Space Cowboy.